The second qualifying session is about to get underway for the Formula 3 Macau Grand Prix. It is the FIA Formula 3 World Cup. It is qualifying 2. It is 40 minutes. And it is crucial in this that the drivers get a good lap time in. You take your better time out of yesterday's session or today's to determine the grid. So we're going to get the times from Q2. But inevitably, this isn't going to be the grid. We're going to have to do a little bit of comparison as to what they did yesterday and try and deduce an order. But we certainly can look at Q2 in isolation, and it is going to be fantastic because these 3.4-litre 2019 built Dalaras, the very latest iteration of Formula 3 racing around here, look great, sound great, and are a real challenge for the drivers. David Anderson and Alan Hyde are trackside, and it is fair to say are looking forward to this a lot.
We certainly are. It feels like a very long time ago that we had the Formula 3 cars out on circuit first thing this morning. It wasn't actually that early in the morning. It was 9:30 this morning. They went out for free practice. It does feel an awful lot, a long time ago that we had qualifying yesterday. It was the final, the penultimate session of yesterday afternoon. 3:15 yesterday, local time, just gone 3 o'clock this afternoon. We've had a number of delays over the course of today on qualifying day. Friday here at Macau. It's now hot. It started the day very chilly, very windy. It's got warmer as the day has gone on. The sunshine is blasting down on the circuit, and it's pretty warm out there. The grandstands are packed.
And of all the drivers that this session is important for, perhaps the most is Sebastian Montoya, because the only lap that he put in yesterday was outside the 107% regulation. So technically, he has not yet qualified for the Macau Grand Prix.
And that just proves what we just said, that the grandstands are packed. There is not an empty seat there, is there?
No.
All here on Friday afternoon to enjoy this competitive action that we get towards the tail end of today on qualifying day. But first of all, for the Formula 3 cars, motorcycles coming up around the gear circuit here in Macau as well. All of it in very, very warm conditions. That's the number 8 car of Dino Beganovic, and that car has been going very well for the Swedish driver, driving under the Theodore team, and Banner with Prima Racing running the car.
Yeah, Gabriele Mini was the man that topped the times yesterday. They'd been out this morning for free practice, but it had 3 red flags, and so actually there was very little that you could glean from it. There was very little to be achieved in it. Doesn't give you a guide at all. And 1 or 2 drivers, Mini and Dennis Hauger, in fact, giving up. They didn't go out for the last 6 minutes of the session because they probably feared yet another stoppage, but also trying to protect tyres going into this qualifying session. There is Gabriele Mini, who at the moment has provisional pole position from Luke Browning.
Didn't even bother to go out for the last 7 minutes or so of free practice this morning. There was a stoppage. He got out of the car, he went over to the pit wall, spoke to the team. There was nothing to be gained at the end of free practice, but Mini has been superb.
Yeah. So this is the entry list with previous winner Richard Verschoor, along with Roman Stanek, and newcomer to F3 Ugo Ugachukwu for Trident. At Yensa, the British-American Max Esterson, Charlie Wirtz, son of ex-F1 driver Alex Wirtz, and Matthias Zagazeta. The SJM Theodore Prema Racing team has Dino Beganovic along with Gabriele Mini, and the third of those cars is in the hands of Paul Aaron. Then you've got Luke Browning, Isaac Hadjar, and Alex Dunn at High Tech Pulse 8. Campos Racing, the Spanish team, has Pepe Marti, Sebastian Montoya, and Oliver Goethe. Then you've got Noah Leon for Van Amersfoort with Sophia Flörsch and Tommy Smith. ALT Grand Prix fielding Lawrence Van Huppen, Christian Mansell, and Nicola Solov. At Rodin Carlin, Zane Maloney and double winner Dan Ticktum, and at MP there's Dennis Hauger, Mauri Boyer and Marcus Armstrong, who is also coming back to Macau, having been racing in the IndyCar Championship for Chip Ganassi this year. Marcus Armstrong, 20th he was. How different could this be from racing in American single-seater racing?
Very, very different indeed, but one of the beauties of the Macau Grand Prix, it encourages drivers from all over the world to come and compete for this, a mighty crowd on the world single-seater stage, and they are all lined up ready to get Q2 underway. Second qualifying, engines fire up, green flag down in pit lane. Qualifying 2 is underway for Formula 3.
Yesterday, the only driver into the 2-minute 5s in Quali 1 was Gabriele Mini. Therefore, 2 minutes 5 has got to be the target, because it means you're improving on your time of yesterday if you were in the 6s or slower. It was Mini, Browning, Beganovic, Hauger, Dunn, Hadjar, Armstrong, Solov, Goethe, Ticktum, the top 10 yesterday. And the MP Motorsport trio goes out first. And although in touring car sessions earlier we saw drivers working together and looking for clear track space, here it is every man for himself, and so it's going to be a really lively, hectic start.
It most certainly is. Look at the long shadows here in the sunshine here at Macau. The air temperature is up to 23 now, 16 when we started today, when the Formula 3 cars went out following the bikes this morning. Really chilly this morning, really warm this afternoon. It's going to be hard work. It's very different conditions now.
And Gabriele Mini biding his time, others also waiting in the pit lane, so not everybody has gone. Stanek has yet to go, Chukwu has yet to go, Vert, Zagazeta, Bogdanovic, Mini, Aron, Goethe and Smith, all looking for clear track space. Very early in FP2 this morning, we had a track blockage at the Macau hairpin where Paul Aron just didn't make the corner, just understeered midway through it and headed towards the barrier, and nobody else could get past him. But here, hopefully, the drivers will be very attentive to the fact that they've got to get on with the programme, they've got to get some laps in to get the tyres up to temperature, and then the times will come. And Dan Tincton, I think a lot of people are tipping him for a third win. It's not that easy, and he's not finding it that easy yet, but he is certainly with a huge amount of experience, and the confidence is up because he knows what comes around him.
And it is a joy to have an on-board camera with Dan, somebody that's won the Macau Grand Prix 2 times here in Macau, and to be on board with him on some of those quick laps has been an absolute joy. We rather liked, and we might do it again today, just to go with the on-board through Mandarin and on the run down towards Lisboa. It was such a rewarding feeling, hearing the engine note, not lift, for a moment around not just a bend at Mandarin, it is a corner.
Oh, proper, yeah. Now that's Donna Maria, which is the left-hander that loops you round towards the tight Melco hairpin. There it is, and that is one of the great Macau images, as you see the cars either side of the very, very narrow hairpin, and then speed building, they come down the other side. Now, the end of that section of Black Sands is Fisherman's Bend, and then there is our bend, and then there is the timing line at the start of another lap, and then it's going to get really serious. So you'll have first up towards the line, Armstrong, Boyer and Hauger in the orange MP Motorsport cars. They will be the first 3 through, and the car of Mali Boyer will be the first one to do a lap time, as the rest of the field now come filing by, some looking for clear track space. You've got Luke Browning in the background in the blue Williams colours for High-Tech Pulse 8. And don't forget as well, just talking about Mandarin being, Mandarin being a proper corner, that's also taking you into a short DRS zone, the other side of it. So if it wasn't quick enough, you've got DRS to factor in on this bit of the circuit.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. We've got DRS as well on these cars, haven't we? On the run down towards Lisboa, which is the overtaking point on the circuit. We don't only have a double winner in the form of Dan Tincton on the grid this weekend, we also have a defending champion, essentially, because the last time Formula 3 cars were here was 2019. That was won by Richard Bashur. That's why he's got #1 on the car this weekend. And we look for him to really show the form over the course of qualifying. He was 11th yesterday.
Red flag, I'm afraid, already. Red flag. So qualifying is interrupted. And that's why, because in the wall, in a lot of damage, is Nikola Solov. And Solov crashed at the end of FP2 and brought out the last red flag. And that's in a similar part of the racetrack, isn't it?
It is, and that car is with a lot of damage now. Oh dear, oh dear. So they haven't even completed one flying lap during this session. We've got a red flag bringing the session to a stop.
So Solov has got to rely on yesterday's time. 8th he was, 2 minutes 6.755. Can't do any better than that now.
No, so that's a very costly moment very early on in the session. The clock has been stopped at 36 minutes. What did we say this morning after free practice? They have so many stoppages that they were 15 minutes into the session before they've done a lap.
Yeah, that's right.
Quick lap.
Yeah, you forget how long it takes to do an outlap. At least here the clock stops. So they're not wasting the time, but they've still got to go again. They're still going to do an outlap. And Solov has done the job good and proper, hasn't he? He's taken the front and the rear left corners off that car. That has been a big hit. Yeah,
big hit, and that car needs to be recovered after the rest of the field have all threaded their way slowly past the incident, into pit lane.
So that was what, coming out of police, wasn't it, towards Moorish?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Nikola Solov, who has been racing most recently in the FIA Formula 3 Championship with a 7th as his best result this year, but last year Spanish Formula 4 champion. He's part of the Alpine Academy. And this is Sophia Flörsch.
Also part of the Alpine Academy.
Indeed so. So heading back to the pit lane. Sophia for the Van Amersfoort racing team, Fritz Van Amersfoort's squad. Out of Macau hairpin. What a noise. That's a low speed as well.
Glorious, isn't it? What a feeling it must be inside one of these things around the gear circuit.
Right, here you go. This is Solov. Too much power, loses the back, and that just fires him out wide, and bang. So that is why we've had the red flag.
One tiny mistake is so dearly...
Look at the damage, look at the damage.
I know.
So red flag here at Macau, and there is a debate about number 9 for its release from the pit lane, Gabriele Mini. There's no action yet. It is noted an unsafe release, so to be looked at. And so now as the cars come into the pit lane, nobody has done a lap time.
No, so a lot of work yet to be done in this qualifying session. The final, the last chance qualifying, if you like, for the qualification race grid, which will line up tomorrow here at Macau. We've got full coverage of all of the on-track action. Gets underway tomorrow morning, 7:40, with warm-up over 20 minutes for the motorcycles, and then the motorcycle Grand Prix, 8:30 tomorrow morning until 9:15, 12 laps around the gear circuit. If you are a car person and you haven't watched motorcycles before racing, then Macau and the gear circuit is quite a nice place to start, because you will not believe how close they come to the guardrails, to the walls, and we've got top riders here this weekend. They're going to be qualifying after this qualifying session, and they race tomorrow morning, 8:30 around the world. Local time here, 8:30, and it will be covered all the way around the world tomorrow for a 12-lap Grand Prix.
And it is an awesome sight. It's a very, very good entry. It's a really international one as well. Often it's been rather British dominated. However, let's go to Formula 3 again as you see the cars being brought back into place. And Richard Verschoor, number 1, with the Trident Dallara. Everybody with the same car, don't forget, Formula 3 these days. Single make, single tyre, single engine. So it's as level a playing field as it can be. And that's Lawrence van Hoopen for ART Grand Prix, who was in the wall yesterday. So as soon as this car is retrieved, we'll be back in business. And we're at 3:15 local time. We've got 36 minutes of the session to go. There's more activity straight after this because the motorbikes qualify again. But right now, that is the reason that there's nothing happening, because it's a rather broken car to be retrieved. And it needs a little the dollies going under it to try and get it to somewhere near a crane, I think. That is a really badly damaged car from what looked like just a clip against the tyre barrier.
Has it got a decent corner of suspension? I don't think it has.
No. A wing adjustments there for Zane Maloney. The Bushy Park circuit in Barbados that the family runs on the crash helmet. The first driver from Barbados to race at the Macau Grand Prix, we are confident in saying. And there are other drivers from the Red Bull programme, including Isaac Hadjar. And what is left of Nicola Solov's car is about to be dragged away. Maybe what they're trying to do is just roll that into that access point behind.
I think you're right.
Rather than bring it anywhere else. Yeah,
that's what they're planning on doing. That would be a fairly quick turnaround. There are plenty of marshals on hand to be able to help on that. So there are plenty of marshals anywhere around the gear circuit here at Macau, and they are all very, very well drilled in how to turn things around really quickly.
Down Ticton, you saw a moment ago getting set to go. Sophia Flörsch, Gabriele Mini, they're all ready, they're all eager. Of course, the Formula 3 car of this generation with the halo device atop it. And 40 years since the first Formula 3 race at Macau. Not 40 consecutive years, because obviously we've missed a few in recent times for obvious reasons, but going back to 1983, and it was, of course, Ayrton Senna that won on the back of his British Formula 3 Championship crown for Dick Bennett's West Surrey Racing Squad.
That car is in the Grand Prix Museum. It is. Also a Madame Tussauds waxwork of Ayrton Senna. Didn't realise he was so diminutive in stature. I never came face to face with Ayrton Senna. I only watched him on television with Murray Walker's commentary and James Hunt's commentary alongside, and never really got to see just how I felt tall next to him, and that's very rare.
Luke Browning, part of the next generation of British drivers, getting ready to head out on circuit again. He was in the walls a little bit this morning, damaged the front wing on his outlap even, but he went well yesterday. Second fastest, Luke Browning.
Yeah, it wasn't a good morning, was it?
No.
There were a couple of incidents for Luke Browning early on in the session, so hopefully qualifying goes a little bit better. I wonder what they've been doing all day. What do you think they've been doing today?
Studying data,
you think?
hopefully.
All day?
Well, something like that. The Gabriele Mini unsafe release,
yes.
Wrong car. The unsafe release was Nicola Solov.
Oh.
Kick a man when he's down. Car in bits there, and when you get back to the pits, we're going to have a look at how you left the pit lane. They do need it on a flatbed, and I think that's partly because they just can't lift it. So the original plan to just prop it up and wheel it, good idea, can't be activated, so it's going to be a few more minutes yet.
It will be, yeah, and hopefully that car is repairable. Certainly it's going to be a lot of work for the team to get that car back in race-ready preparation for the race tomorrow. And with 36 minutes remaining on the clock, this is the last four-wheel activity on the circuit, around the circuit this afternoon. Two wheels coming up next.
28 you just see there in the middle of the MP Motorsport squad, Murray Boyer, or Jose Maria Navalon Boyer, who was 17th in the FIA Formula 3 Championship this year for the Dutch MP Motorsport team. And Nicola Solov watches his car be placed on the back of the recovery vehicle, and it won't be too long, therefore, before we can get things back underway.
That's a lot of work for the team, isn't it?
It is. I mean, the good news is that the cars are next out even later than the time now, as in 24 hours plus, 10 to 4 tomorrow. So they've got a whole day to work on it, but they could do without having to work on it.
Slippery surface noted down at turn 15 as well as a result of that. So they'll be aware of that, and will be treading lightly as they make their way out of pit lane on the outlap, the warm-up lap for the tyres. They have not yet had a chance to show what they're made of during this qualifying session. Let's hope we can just run. We just had a textbook example of a qualifying session without interruption for the GTs, didn't we?
Well, apart from the red flag.
Early on. Early on.
Yeah, until Kevin Estra.
Oh, yes.
Did a Lisboa special. But well, yes, largely that was good. And it's been a good day on the whole, with limited interruption. But there, the rest of the field is set to go back out. Dennis Hauger, another of the drivers, returning, if you like, to Formula 3 machinery. The attraction, because he's never raced at Macau, has brought him here. He was in Formula 3 in 2020 and 2021. But of course, those were non-F3 years here. So this year, double winner in Formula 2, 10th in the championship, but wanting to come and race at Macau, tick that off the bucket list. Richard Verschoor coming back, as Alan was saying, he's effectively the defending champion here, having been the winner in the Macau Grand Prix back in 2019. And don't think for a moment that the Macau Grand Prix is just an extension of the championship. You know, we've been talking about Gabriele Mini, 7th in the championship this year, but, you know, showing the way home in the times. The year that Richard Verschoor won the Grand Prix, he was only 13th in the championship.
Yeah, I know. It was an impressive performance that year in 2019. And, of course, we had no way of knowing that next year we wouldn't have Formula 3 cars here.
Indeed.
There was no prediction. So when you're on a roll like that, you would have come back in the following year in a normal situation and defended the title. And who knows where we'd be as far as number of wins for that young driver. Things were different. Formula 4 took over in 2020, 2021 and 2022.
Just seen Isaac Hadjar's Red Bull liveried car. He's another driver stepping from F2 to F3 for this weekend. 28 is Murray Boyer once more, we've talked about. So as the Theodore Prema Racing cars, the Trident cars are all lined up, ready to go in the pit lane. We await the removal of Nikola Solov's car, and then we can get the session back underway.
Hardest working team today have pretty much been the camera crew down in pit lane, because we've had quite a few of these interruptions that have been fairly lengthy, and it is hard for the drivers to keep their concentration. Just looking at the number 14 car of Alex Dunn, he's been impressive yesterday, incredibly impressive. He won the British F4 Championship last year. That's the number 12 car of Isaac Hadjar, run by High-Tech Pulsate, and waiting as the rest of them are for the word how soon they're likely to get back out on the circuit. I think they're dressing a bit of fluid down there, aren't they?
There's still something, isn't there, about a Red Bull colour scheme that kind of raises the grid, probably because it's just about the same livery you see in Formula One. But you put a Red Bull car onto a grid like this in junior single-seater racing, and it just feels right.
The amount of investment they have made in young drivers in motorsport over the years is incredibly impressive. Remember the first time you saw the Red Bull logo on a car?
I want to say it was something like a Sauber 93, 94-ish as a very minor sponsor.
It was just on the top of the car, on top of the hoop.
Yeah.
And, I wonder what this is going to be. So 15:24 local time confirmed as the start of the resumption of this qualifying session. We are 15:21. They've dressed the fluid down there, and the marshals run back to post. So we are almost ready to go, 2 minutes away. But yeah, how did you know to any extent how deeply they would get involved in motorsport around the world?
And how many drivers they've given a chance to. I mean, it's been a ruthless programme. If you don't deliver, and deliver now, then we'll move you on. Thank you very much. But, you know, a lot of drivers have had opportunities that maybe they wouldn't had it not been for Red Bull. It's a tough programme to be on. It's, you know, as I say, you've really got to reward and repay that faith, but a lot of people have been given opportunities, and it spreads all around the world, and not just motorsport. You know, there are so many other extreme sports that Red Bull has had an involvement in. Right, Dan Ticktum getting set, ready to go back out again. There is Sophia Flörsch's car. Slippery surface flag is going to be shown on track. The grandstands are full of eager fans who are now doing the age-old trick of finding themselves on screen and trying to work out whether to wave at the screen or wave at the camera. But everyone enjoying themselves in nice temperatures here at the gear circuit, and in less than a minute's time, the cars are going to be back on track. Great sounding cars. The old 2-litre Formula 3 car was often a bit flat of an engine note and sometimes a bit breathless, but these cars have got so much power.
Yeah, I remember them around Thruxton, which is the fastest circuit in the UK, and it was just a slightly monotonous tone around the circuit, which is such a quick circuit, so much of it on full throttle, top gear around Thruxton, that these cars do sound incredibly exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see why drivers have enjoyed the new iteration of Formula 3 with all that power. So drivers are about to head out. We'll see who the savvy teams are by keeping the cars back a little bit before they release into traffic. It's fine if you're at the end of the pit lane, but really you want to be first out or last out, and then you've got clear track space around you.
36 minutes of this session remains, and the green flag is waved down in pit lane. The roar of the engines down in pit lane heralds the advent of cars on the circuit. They'll be leaving the cars. It's a bit of a messy getaway, isn't it, down in pit lane? Number 5 car being pulled back. That's Estes Gentle Motorsport car. Back into order. The rest of the field. Single file down pit lane. About to get this session back on. In the sunshine here at Macau, 35 minutes or thereabouts of this session. Now the important work, getting tyres back up to temperature. It's hot out there, it's warm out there. Tyre temperature is not going to be an issue. Getting a clear lap is going to be an issue, and also getting some kind of a flow to the session without interruption will be another part of this.
So yesterday, 2 minutes 5.521 was the best time, and only one driver, Gabriele Mini, in the 2-minute 5s. So that's the target, to try and better that. So Gabriele Mini at the moment is in the pound seats with that fastest time of yesterday.
So cars out on circuit, threading their way around the hilly section of the 6.1 kilometre gear circuit here at Macau. Just look how close the wheels come to. Yeah, I did wonder about that. Just been told that the number 5 car being investigated for an unsafe release. That was the car that was out and then pulled back and put on into another rest of the field going forward. I did rather wonder about that. But this is a unique view from the cockpits of Nina's car. You can see just how close the wheels come to the barriers and the walls around the gear circuit. That's why this race is such a one-off on the world stage. It is so demanding.
So we're looking at times low 2-minute 6s or 2-minute 5s. That means you're in the ballpark. I say we're looking, we're going to have to wait before we look, because we've got to get the out lap finished and then a flying lap, and it's probably going to be the second or third of the flying laps where the times start to come. We were seeing yesterday, weren't we, that drivers could go and then just have a sort of recovery lap and then go again. And there is a meatball flag being presented to number 15, Pepe Marti, for a damaged front wing. So 15 has clipped something. Pepe Marti damaged the wing on the car. So let's have a look at Luke Browning for a lap as he comes out of our bend through the run up towards the timing line. Now starts the lap then, so through he goes. The British driver's second fastest yesterday. Up the road ahead, look, is 29. That's Marcus Armstrong. But here is Luke Browning. Then he hustles it down towards Mandarin through that right-hander. We'll start to see what the sector times are like. If tyres are up to temperature. But the GB3 champion of 2022, the British F4 champion of 2020, hits the brakes going into the right of Lisboa. And it's good. It's a personal best, so it's a decent first sector time.
Yep, needs a good qualifying session this afternoon after a couple of problems this morning during free practice for Luke Browning. We know how good he is. He has proved this again and again. Came into car racing in genetic juniors. It's a usual route into car racing in the UK. Very soon he's going to also have the addition of a TOCA Junior Championship as well, which we'll be looking forward to. Not next year, but the year after. It's going to be another staircase into car racing. They are pushing on, aren't they?
That is Dennis Hauger, who has done the fastest of anybody in the first sector. Now Sophia Flörsch goes quicker than anybody in the first sector. But Dennis Hauger is absolutely flying here. He knows that you've got to get a banker lap in early should anybody else have a drama and put it in the wall. It was nearly him, but Dennis Hauger is absolutely charging then. So is Luke Browning, absolute best sector 3. So each car that comes across the line is going to shuffle the order on this first run.
Sophia Flörsch has been absolutely supreme in that first sector again and again. Yeah. Yesterday and today, this morning, this afternoon. So there is some little key that Sophia has unlocked in that first sector, which really works.
So she is in sector 4 as Luke Browning is going to offer up the target time. Now remember, 2-minute 5 is really good. 2-minute 6 is okay. Let's see what he can offer up. It is the first run. Yesterday he did a 2-minute 6.018. Murray Boyer 2-minute 7. Dennis Hauger will go through. Marcus Armstrong will go through. Hauger 2-minute 7. Browning 2-minute 6.8. So that's good. Not as good as yesterday, but it's okay. This is Sophia Flörsch down towards Black Sands now.
Black Sands onto Fisherman's Bend, and this is the quick part of the circuit. This is a pretty relentless section after the twists and turns on the hilly section through up towards the completion of a lap for Sophia Flörsch. Overall quickest in sector 1, don't forget, and then the opportunity to complete the lap. The first lap turns out of the corner up towards the start-finish line, and then on the run down towards Mandarin. Where does Sophia Flörsch end up?
7th, 8th.
That's a good lap. That's a really good lap for Sophia.
She was 7th, and then others behind bumped her down the order. What about the defending champion, as it were? Richard Verschoor, number 1. Here he comes up towards the line. Goes 4th fastest, a 2-minute 7.3. And Gabriele Mini, still the fastest from yesterday. No one's got into the 5s yet. What about him? This is Fisherman's Bend. He's on it. This is a very quick lap. Sophia Flörsch, another absolute best in the first sector. 1 corner to go for Gabriele Mini. This is his first flying lap of the session, then up towards the timing line. And he goes through, and only 9th, 2-minute 7.8.
So Gabriele Mini with good enough for 9th position. Yesterday, the time for Gabriele Mini was a 2:05.5.
Yeah.
So some way off that provisional pole time from yesterday.
Yeah, 2 minutes 5.5 is really good. And nobody else, as I said earlier, got into the fives, did they? So
No.
He is at the moment with the advantage. And we've got just under 30 minutes of the session to go. Now on this lap, Richard Verschoor has done an absolute best. Sophia Flörsch has done an absolute best. Luke Browning is at the top. But maybe the better times are going to come on the second run.
Marcus Armstrong has gone second with 2:07.003. It's the 29 car we're looking at, coming up towards the line. What's this going to be? It's been personal best in all 4 sectors. Marcus goes top. So a 2:06.072. We get tantalisingly close to a 2:05 lap.
Right.
We're going to get there.
That is 7/10 quicker than he did yesterday for Marcus
wow.
Armstrong. That's a massive improvement. And he's still pushing as well. He's just got past his teammate there, Mari Boyer, and Dennis Hauger slightly interrupted. So I think Hauger's lap's compromised. But yeah, Marcus Armstrong's been the first big winner, if you like, first big improver. A 2 minute 6.072 will put him 3rd at the moment.
So back on board with Mini as we thread our way through the twisty section of the gear circuit here. These are awesome pictures, aren't they?
Yeah.
You can see the front wheels, see how close they come to kissing the barrier around the Macau hairpin. Makes that look effortless. That's not easy to get around, to get a Formula 3 car. I've seen on a demonstration lap a Formula 3 car needing a pull back, but Mini absolutely on this. Wow! In the traffic, through Fisherman's, up towards our bend. The completion of a lap is coming up for Mini, and wow, that was not an easy...
Dino Beganovic, number 8, is the other one that's good because he's done personals and absolutes. He comes across the line. Mini is behind him. Beganovic doesn't improve. It all went wrong at the end on that lap. Mini goes 3rd, 2 minutes 6.670, but it all got incredibly busy ahead of him. Now, you're riding with Gabriele Mini as they come in towards Mandarin. There's traffic ahead. There are quick cars ahead. He's getting a tow. This is absolutely flat chat as he gets on the inside of Oliver Goethe. Down towards Lisboa. And he backs out of the lap.
And I think there's just a little bit too peoply out there at the moment, isn't it? It's a bit busy, and it was a bit of a hold-up for Mini at the end of that lap, but finding a bit of clear track, I think, is what they need to do. By the way, on the previous lap, Sophia Flörsch again went overall best in Sector 1.
And you've been making the point, she does that quite a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again and again. It's really impressive that. There must be some kind of little trick that's going on for Sophia that says that this is one of the circuits she loves most of any in the world. And bear in mind, she's been doing a full season of FIA Formula 3 this year. She's been to a few good ones.
Well, that's true enough. So Sophia Flörsch returning to Macau. Good to have her back here. And pressing on. So are others like Luke Browning, who is still charging as he comes now up towards the end of the lap. So Luke Browning has done an absolute and a personal. There's 2 good sectors. Marcus Armstrong goes through a bit slower that time. Luke Browning goes by. Not an improvement. But Isaac Hadjar in the Red Bull colours has gone 2nd.
Alex
2 minutes
6.449.
Alex Dunn goes 3rd indeed. So Dunn's done a 2 minutes 6.6. That's not as good as yesterday. Right, you're riding with Dan Tickton. And let's try and go with him for the whole lap as he accelerates now down the straight, heading towards Mandarin and then onto Lisboa.
He's in 9th position at the moment, some improvement on the previous lap tonight. Sophia Flörsch goes 8th, so having a really good time. That's demoted down to 9th as further improvements come, but Marcus Armstrong is top, Verschoor is 2nd, Hadjar is 3rd, Alex Dunn is 4th, Hauger is 5th, and Mini in 6th. On board with Dan Tickton. Towards San Francisco, up the hill he goes.
I just wondered if there wasn't a hesitation before San Francisco, but maybe he thinks this isn't the lap yet. He's backed out of it. So he slowed in the first sector, and Dan Tickton was keeping out of the way. So this is not the lap. Yeah.
Traffic ahead, and it's not just one car. It's more than one car to negotiate on this twisty section of the circuit. This is not the place to do it. Get past those cars on the run down from the Macau hairpin, and maybe there's clear track ahead.
Right, Tickton was 10th yesterday, so he does need to improve. Now, this is Marcus Armstrong, fastest in this session. That would put him up to 3rd on the aggregated times of what, you know, take yesterday or today, and he's on another good lap here with 2 absolute best, sectors 2 and 3. This could put him in the 5s, and that brings him very much into the ballpark against Gabriele Mini of yesterday. So Marcus Armstrong now coming downhill. This is Black Sands then, speed building at this point. The 4th sector is a personal best, so it started off good, although he dropped about 4/10 there against the absolute best. Let's see what he can do then, because Marcus Armstrong chipping away to bring down that lap time. He's got 1 more corner to go. We've got 24.5 minutes on the clock. If this is in the 5s, it's going to be very, very good for Armstrong, and he breaks the beam, and the answer is it's in the 5s. It's a 2 minutes 5.7. That would be 2nd fastest overall.
2 minutes 5.5 yesterday for Gabriele Mini, but you could see Marcus Armstrong, just the car bobbling about on the bumps going through Fisherman's, and if that car is unsettled at the exit of Fisherman's, that barrier is so costly. On board with Sophia Flörsch, heading up towards basically a traffic jam, heading around the Macau hairpin, wrench the wheel around, cross the hands, and then all of a sudden breathe again, because you can apply the accelerator and the track opens up down through Black Sands on towards Fisherman's Bend. But watch these Formula 3 cars as they come up towards Fisherman's. There are a couple of bumps, and the car could potentially be unsettled on the exit of the corner. Takes you out wide to the wall on the outside, which so many times is so costly.
Sophia Flörsch trying to let the traffic go. Problem is she's got traffic behind her as well.
It's everywhere.
So, yeah. Here's Dan Ticktum, take 2. Traffic has disappeared. Let's go again. Then Dan Ticktum is now 13th in the times. Down towards Mandarin. Speed building all the time now. 6th gear, absolutely flat out. And you've got to be so brave. Now, where's Lisboa? You can't see it. Look right, there's barrier. Somewhere there is a gap. Grandstand on the left, down through the gears, turn it in.
Turn into Lisboa, around the right-hander, a short blast up towards San Francisco. San Francisco Hill, and what a hill it is, very steep, as we are now in the hilly section of the circuit, past the hospital on the left-hand side, through the right kink, down towards Teddy It on the left-hand side. The wall beckons you in. Goodness me, through the Solitude S's in a Formula 3 car, this is something else.
But it's not quick enough. Sector 1 slower, sector 2 slower. So Dan Ticktum has not yet got it all hooked up. He's certainly trying, I don't deny that, but it's not yet being reflected in the sector times. It's so competitive, we're talking thousands anyway, but Dan Ticktum is still 13th within Q2, and he was yesterday 10th, remember.
See how vague it is when you're in an on-board shot, when you go left to right, to left to right, you're up and down. It's everything that demands of the car on this section of the course, through the right-hander at Police, and then the right-hander at Moorish, up Moorish Hill, towards Donna Maria, the long left-hander. This is Police, the right-hander, and then Melco Hairpin takes them down towards Black Sands, on towards Fisherman's Bend. Luke Browning has gone purple in sector 4.
Ticktum's done a personal best in sector 4, which makes me think that he's gearing up for the big push on the next lap. Now I think maybe the tyres are up to temperature. We'll see what Luke Browning can do, as you say. He goes second, he's in the 6s, 2 minutes 6.005. Better than he did yesterday. And Dan Ticktum is going to come through. And now, if you stay with him, he does improve up to 12th one spot in this session. But now, look, the road is clear ahead, I think. The tyres are hotter, the tyres are grippier. He's going for it.
He certainly is, and we'll hear this wonderful engine note as Dan Ticktum is about to go through the very, very fast corner at Mandarin on the run down towards Lisboa. Marcus Armstrong, meanwhile, top of the times, is down there in pit lane, so he's coming to pit lane.
And this is Gabriele Mini. Let's get him across the line because he's done 2 personal bests as well. So Gabriele comes down towards our bend. Arthur really quick, and he comes out of it the other side up towards the timing line. Quickest man yesterday doesn't go quicker. 2 minutes 7, drop time in the last sector. Oliver Goethe has gone third. Number 17, Oliver Goethe now for Campos Racing with an absolute best last sector. It's all going on.
It certainly is, and they've actually been able to get meaningful laps, lap after lap. They can get into the groove. They can get some kind of flow into lap after lap. What have we got?
Everywhere you look, there's an improvement in a sector. Luke Browning, absolute best, sector 3. Isaac Hadjar up to 4th, ahead of Pepe Marti. Richard Verschoor is 6th, Bogdanovic 7th, Aaron is 8th, Alex Dunn is 9th. Dennis Hauger is in the pit lane at 10th, and Dan Tictum has been elbowed back to 16th. And even on this lap, Tictum's not improving in sectors.
It's interesting, isn't it? A double winner here at Macau. He's been doing Formula E for the last 2 years. A very, very different piece of machinery for Dan Tictum to the... I do beg your pardon. We've got entwined, haven't we? A very different piece of machinery between a Formula 3 car, an FIA Formula 3 car, and a Formula E car. And Dan Tictum, at the moment, is not where we would expect for a double winner here at Macau. You've got to be pretty special to win once, extremely special to win twice.
Luke Browning, personal best, absolute best, bails from the lap. Gabriele Mini, absolute best, sector 2, but sectors 1 and 3 outside of it, not an improvement, so he's still pushing, he's heading up the hill. Let's see what he can do then as he comes now into Donna Maria. Go left. Great noise from these cars, absolutely outstanding sound. That's what a racing car should sound like.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So Mini turns into the Melco hairpin, makes it look easy on the run down through Black Sands. Now this is kind of into the second half of qualifying. 40 minutes this duration for the second half of qualifying, and now we see quite a few of them coming into pit lane. So a breather. This is what they were planned to do if they weren't being interrupted by red flags or the need for a virtual safety car. So most of the field coming into pit lane. Yeah,
new set of Pirellis, and Mini has backed out of it, even though there was an absolute best in the sector. He's going to bail, and so I think most people are going to come into the pit lane, which of course has the knock-on effect when they all go back out of them moaning about the traffic. So you've got to be careful on where and when you release the car, I think, going into the next part of this session. Whew.
We can all take a breather.
Yes, exactly right. Marcus Armstrong, though, has been very impressive. 2 minutes 5.732, the only driver into the 5s, and that is going to be the second best time if you take the 2 sessions together. So Gabriele Mini from the first, faster than Armstrong from the second, and Luke Browning second in both, in fact. So 2 minutes 6.005, he's quicker today than yesterday. Oliver Goethe is quicker today than yesterday. It's going to be a really interesting grid, this, when it's confirmed.
How many have stayed out? Only Richard Verschoor in the top 13 is out on circuit, number 1.
And Dan Tictum, so the 2 winners, possibly thinking it's a bit quieter. Let's go.
Yeah, well, they know something everybody else doesn't know, and that's how to win at Macau.
Well, Tictum has gone quicker in a sector on this lap, so potentially it is worth persevering.
Yeah, Richard Verschoor just puts in sector 3 a personal best, so a 25.4 in that middle sector, sector 3, proudly carrying the number 1. That's nice to see, actually, after the return of Formula 3 cars. It's good that we've got the winner of the 2019 race, the last time the Formula 3 cars were here around the streets of Macau. It's good that Richard is back here.
It is indeed. So after 3 seasons now, Formula 2, and he's improving in sectors. He's done 2 improvements on this lap, so 6th he is, but it's worth staying out. You see the car bounce around on the bumpy public roads. 2 improvements, no traffic to get in the way, and assuming he stays out to the end of the lap, this should move him up within the session. Number 1, Richard Verschoor, was only 11th yesterday on a 2 minute 7, and he bails out of it after all of that energy.
Into pit lane, so the top 13 cars all down in pit lane. So scramble the camera team down in pit lane once again, and we've got some cars firing up down in pit lane after a brand new set of Pirelli tyres are bolted onto the cars.
Tictum pitted as well, by the way, so now everybody, with the exception of Tommy Smith, are in the pits. Tommy Smith, who was up the escape road earlier on, the Australian driver. So now the Trident trio.
So we say halfway point. We are well into the second half of Q2 now. Just under 16 minutes of this session remain in the sunshine down in pit lane. The eyes of Gabriele Mini, and let's see when the team decide to release that car back onto the circuit. If you've changed your tyres now down in pit lane, would you get out now, or would you be waiting towards the very end of the session when, as as much rubber has been laid, equal rubber, same rubber, with Formula 3 cars all out on circuit for what will be 35 minutes, 5 minutes for the end of this session, and that potentially is going to be when things are at their quickest around the gear circuit.
It's harder to manage from here on in, isn't it? Because when it's the start of the session, it's one long line of drivers.
Yep.
But people are coming in at different times, and therefore tyre change done, they're being released at different times. So it's not as easy as to say, I'll let everybody go and then wait 30 seconds, because it's not one long line of cars. So inevitably now, you're going to find traffic.
And there it is.
If you're first out, you're going to catch it.
Yep.
If you're last out, you're going to be in it. So it's a bit tougher to manage the second half here.
So there's the train of Formula 3 cars making their way down to Brisbane, now climbing up San Francisco Hill. New tyres on board, so it won't take long to get that sheen off the surface of the tyre. Takes a little while longer to get the tyres fully up to temperature. But the good news, nice and warm out there now. 24 degrees it was at the start of this session. Sunny, warm, and conditions are set for the final 14 minutes of Q2 for the Formula 3 cars taking part on Sunday in the Formula 3 Macau Grand Prix. Looking back at Sophia Flörsch, who has been really impressive this weekend, particularly in that opening sector, and time again putting in the overall best time on the first sector of the gear circuit.
And a spin ahead, and that is Hadjar, I think, that's gone around. And there's a Prema car trying to get through, but Isaac Hadjar has had a spin. Yellow flag at turn 16. Isaac Hadjar trying to rejoin, but he's made the road very narrow, and that's not going to be easy to get going from there. But that was a low-speed spin, very odd.
And it also shows you just what surprising things can happen when you go around a corner at Macau.
Here you go.
And all of a sudden you see a car in the middle of the circuit.
That's an outlap. So the tyres are cold.
Yep. Oh, wow. Too quick on power. Car goes round. And then a surprise for everyone following.
He didn't hook a wheel up against the wall on the inside, did he?
I don't think so.
And that's why, as he accelerated, it sort of distorted the line.
I don't think so.
OK. He's trying to get it going again. But a 3-point turn there is very difficult indeed. The marshal's saying slow down. We might end up going virtual safety car here. Let's see what happens. Isaac Hadjar is trying to get it going again. The recovery vehicle, look, is already on its way, just in case it's needed. So Hadjar wants to get going, because if he's craned out of the way, he won't be taking part in the session. He wants to get going, and he's fourth in the time, so this is quite important. He's one of the leading drivers, and he's virtually blocked the road. Now there's drama at Melco as well, with a car in the wall. Is that one of the Campos Racing entries? There's just about room to get by.
Only just.
Go on, son, get a bus through there. You're fine.
Hard enough as it is. They do get a bus through there.
Yeah, you're right.
Every day.
So Hadjar has blocked the road, and that means that Christian Mansell can't get by. Rui Marquez, the race director, is doing his nut because he's got track blockages. Red flag again, second stoppage. Trying to identify the car that's come to a halt at Melco. Is it number 10 maybe? No, it can't be Paul Aaron, different livery. But that corner clears itself. And 16, Sebastian Montoya.
Oh dear,
second drama of the weekend, crashed out yesterday. And Isaac Hadjar then. Now, what happens next? If he gets a push start, or is he going to have to be craned away? We'll wait and find out. But he's fourth in the times, and he desperately wants to drive the car back.
So, multiple problems. The cars have only just been released. So, to sort out a couple of incidents on the circuit.
And again, the same problem as yesterday. The cars will fire, but the clutch is such a tricky device.
To switch.
That the car just lurches forward. So what he's trying to avoid is mechanical assistance, because if you can drive it back, fine. The marshals can sort of push him out of the way, because he's once it's essential to clear the road. Everybody else now having to be flagged down so they don't go piling in. That's why the session's been stopped rather than a VSC. Gosh. So this gives us 11.5 minutes.
Now, last weekend for Formula 4, the last 10 minutes, the restart for the last 10 minutes of Formula 4 was absolutely enthralling. We had some tremendous final 10 minutes. Yesterday, after a restart for Formula 3 cars, the last 10 minutes absolutely enthralling. So the scene is set really for the final 11 minutes and 38 seconds of this qualifying session.
It could be enthralling.
It could be enthralling.
Isaac Hadjar has resumed and the road is clear.
So one problem resolved, one yet to resolve. Red flag means the cars will come back down into pit lane. It might be a reasonably short call before cars are invited to come down pit lane and get back out onto the circuit. So make their way around the Macau hairpin. Some cars already back in pit lane, including 2019 winner Richard Verschoor. The team are standing by, and they get to know the way things work here at Macau. They get to learn an awful lot about the event because it is an event like no other. So many interruptions can just break the concentration.
I'll tell you what, it's a fascinating grid, because even with 11.5 minutes to go, you're going to lose 3 minutes for an outlap. So let's say this is going to be an 8-minute session. And then you've got to get 2, maybe 3 laps out of the tyres. And there are lots of people that not only are lower down than you would anticipate, they were yesterday as well, and the times generally are not looking as quick as yesterday.
Yeah, quite a few names that we would expect to be going a little bit quicker, including drivers that are not here for the very first time. I think the most notable one is Dan Tickton. What is going on with Dan Tickton's time this morning and this afternoon? Because they are not what we would expect for a double winner here at Macau. Gabriele Mini in this second qualifying section is only on the 206s around on the best lap. 205.5 yesterday.
Yeah, 1 or 2 have made a step forward, like Armstrong, like Browning, like Goethe, but Tickton and Meany slower than yesterday.
So Marcus Armstrong, I think this is his 3rd visit, I think, here to Macau. I'm sure we'll check on that. But he's got experience around the circuit. He tops the times at the moment. He's only a couple of tenths away from the quickest time from yesterday. He's got a 205.732. And it is his 3rd visit here to Macau, and he's gone well here at Macau in the past as well. So the New Zealander tops the times in car number 29. Luke Browning is 2nd.
Yeah, just going back to Armstrong, he's also one of the good overtakers here, because in 19, although he only finished 8th, he was 17th on the grid. Now that's good going. Okay, I know there are always going to be incidents, but even so, that's good.
It's exceptional. Finding a place to get past is
True enough.
Pretty exceptional.
True enough. So that's Gabriele Mini, who is still on provisional pole position, although relying on yesterday's time. And so the road, in theory, now should be clear, so I can't imagine it would be too long before things were allowed to restart. That
was Ugo Ugachukwu we were having a look at, who is a driver that excelled in British F4 a couple of years ago. I haven't seen him for a while, and he has grown. Wow, he's a really tall driver now. He's well over 6 foot tall, very slim, very slender. Session is going to resume at 3:55. The reason I mention that, it's very rare to have a very tall driver who is able to further his career in single-seaters. Clearly, Ugo is able to do so. There have been a few exceptions to that. There have been tall drivers that have been able to excel in single-seaters. Clearly, that's the route that Ugo wants to go. Very often that the taller driver finds a lifelong career in maybe GT racing, where there's a little bit more space, in touring car racing or something like that. But Ugo, I think, is fairly intense on his road to Formula 1, and with the support of Zach Brown and the McLaren team, that's where his trajectory is clearly marked at this point.
The session is going to resume in about 40 seconds' time, so we're not far off getting it back underway. Yeah, going back to your Ugachukwu point, it's also relatively rare for American drivers to want to go into European single-seater racing. You know, they tend to think more NASCAR-ish as the first thing, or stateside racing. But the resumption of qualifying then, with 11 minutes and 38 seconds on the clock, is about to resume. 20 seconds and counting, engines are fired up, mass exodus of cars, the mad scramble down the pit lane. Almost ready.
For what will be essentially just under 10 minutes of this qualifying session now. No one has got quicker than Gabriele Mini from yesterday, the 2:05.5. Green flag is waved. The session back on the way in 11.5 minutes for Formula 3 cars at Macau.
And nobody's hanging about this time. Everybody wants to, everybody needs to be out early. So the pit lane open and the whole field of cars, then 26 in total that we have. We've lost Nicolas Solov, of course, he was the first red flag, but Isaac Hadjar causing the second. Fourth he is in the times. Hadjar's lap 2 minutes 6.174, which is 0.2 better than he did yesterday. So some of the drivers are benefiting from today, but it's not a uniform faster session, is it?
No, it's not. It's warmer than yesterday now, with the sunshine pouring down on the circuit.
Although we had a really cold track temperature early on, didn't we?
It was really chilly this morning. I've never known it quite so cold. 16 degrees first thing this morning. Really windy, really... it was a clear morning, but just very cold. And it was so chilly walking down to the circuit where I was this morning. Wind blowing. Now, sunshine, clear skies, and packed grandstands to see the final 10 minutes of qualifying. And you know what? We've got a treat for them this afternoon here at Macau, because once this qualifying session is complete, there is going to be the final on-track action. We've got a second qualifying session for the motorcycles. They deemed it that maybe it wasn't enough for the qualifying session first thing in the morning. So another one at the end of today. Santi's one to say, but after we've decided who will take pole for the qualification race in Formula 3.
So the session should have ended by now, but for the red flags. So we are running a little bit late, but we've got 10 minutes still of this to run to determine who is going to start the qualifying race from pole position. And right now, Gabriele Mini is the fastest out of the 2 days of qualifying running, with his time of yesterday still being better than anybody has done today. Marcus Armstrong, the Kiwi driver, returning to Macau, returning to Formula 3, former member, but no longer, of the Ferrari Driver Academy, the New Zealander, who was the Italian Formula 4 champion, runner-up in FIA Formula 3, but then he had some really bad years in Formula 2, 13th, 13th and 13th in his 3 years in the championship, and having been dropped by Ferrari, headed to America to Chip Ganassi for this year. So a win here, a good result here, would certainly boost his stock once more, wouldn't it? Especially in Europe.
And it's great that he's come back to Macau.
Indeed.
He's got all that experience, clearly likes the place. You wouldn't come back if you didn't, would you?
No,
you wouldn't be talked into it, whatever the offers that came up. So Marcus Armstrong, yeah, he's been quick here at Macau before, and here with much to prove this weekend. He is yet to win at Macau.
So there is Armstrong, and he goes charging then now on a flying lap down towards the right-hander of Lugo. Lock up, but he's going to scrabble around the corner okay. Dennis Holger behind him is just that little bit quicker. So the Norwegian driver, another returnee to Formula 3 machinery, pressing on. Luke Browning also speeding up, Isaac Hadjar as well. So this gives the impression that this is going to be happy hour, as it were. This is the golden time to do a lap time.
Personal best in Sector 1 for Luke Browning, who is second. Personal best in Sector 1 for Isaac Hadjar, who is fourth. Personal best in Sector 1 for Richard Bashir. We're on for it. 10 minutes of qualifying. Now only 8 minutes remain, and they are on the first of their flying laps.
So this is where the grid potentially can jumble. Certainly the order in Q2 will jumble. But remember, at the moment, that the best time today is 0.2 slower than yesterday. Marcus Armstrong, absolute best Sector 3. He's got the road to himself. He also knows that it's going his way, in a sense. He knows that he's already made a step forward. He knows the circuit. He knows the car. He's dialed himself back in. So maybe he's just got that slight edge over one or two others in terms of a general feeling of being more confident. Gabriele Mini you're riding with on the timing tower. Look left, you'll see the onboard shot in the graphic as he heads now up the hill and towards the sunlight, up now towards Maternity, then down towards Teddy Yeep. So this is Marcus Armstrong. Oddly, 3 of the 4 sectors have been slower than hitherto, but one has been an absolute best. Couldn't get any better. So let's see how the lap is all pieced together. 2 minutes 5.7 is the best. He was about 4/10 down in the first sector, half a second down in the next. So I don't think it's going to be a mega lap, but it'll still be decent enough from Marcus Armstrong. It's the next one that we need to be looking for. That was a 2 minutes 5.739. That, would you believe, was only 7 thousandths of a second slower than his absolute best. And now Browning goes top. 2 minutes 5.4. That's the best of the weekend. That pole for Browning.
Fastest time so far this weekend for a Formula 3 car. Luke Browning tops the times at 2:05.435, and he would have been straight on it. That's the first flying lap.
Isaac Hadjar back out. He's gone quicker again. He's second, better than yesterday. So Browning and Hadjar are the top two here. But on the aggregated times, Gabriele Mini would be between them. Now you're riding with Gabriele Mini, and you can see he's done 2 personal bests. He goes across the line to go second fastest. 3 personal bests in the end. Let's stay with him on the run now down towards Mandarin.
Marcus Armstrong, meanwhile, has just gone overall best in Sector 2. The race is very definitely on now, isn't it? Ugo Ugachukwu goes overall best in Sector 1. About time we saw Ugo putting these laps in.
Hadjar, absolute best Sector 2. Mini down towards Lisboa. Personal best Sector 1 then. So the driver that was yesterday's fastest, he's lost the top time, but he's still pushing. 5.5 minutes to go. Dan Tictum's up to 12, 2 personal bests and an improved lap time last lap through.
Ugo Ugachukwu goes personal best in Sector 2 as well.
Browning, 2 personal bests, stuck in traffic. Lap gets away from him. Hadjar's ahead of him. He has also backed out of it, getting in the way of Luke Browning. So you have 1 lap to push, then let everything recover, then go again. This is Mini.
Yeah, Mini was just putting the overall best in Sector 2. Ugo Ugachukwu in 8th place. Overall best in Sector 1. Personal best in Sector 2. Drops back a little bit on Sector 3. What's Mini? We've got a yellow flag at turn 18. That's going to be on the run down towards Donna Maria.
And it's Armstrong. Marcus Armstrong is in the wall, and big drama there, because also with a lot of damage you can see is the Trident car of Ugo Ugachukwu, who had done an absolute best and the personal best. Red flag, I think. Session is going to have to be stopped again, because we've got cars around the racetrack blocking the road. Ugachukwu has expired at Moorish. So red flag with just 5 minutes to go. Marcus Armstrong, he dropped to 5th in the session and he's hit the barrier. Whether that's been isolated from Ugo Ugachukwu's incident, we don't yet know. But 2 battered cars, and Armstrong's just slithered his way off into the wall.
So, oh dear, oh dear. Just 5 minutes ago, Marcus Armstrong was on the top of the times. Luke Browning took that away from him, put in the fastest lap of the weekend so far in Formula 3 machinery. And now we need recoveries to take place out on track. Ugo Ugachukwu, the number 3 car, we've seen him trying to get himself back on the circuit yesterday at the escape road at Lisboa. That took a little while. Today it's going to take a little more. The little dollies are going underneath the wheels for Ugo's car in order to clear the circuit of the number 3 car. That's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, he was pushing, but don't forget, this is somebody new to the car, new to the track, arguably the perfect storm. Dan Tictum, 12th, he had improved last time. Don't forget, Luke Browning, I've been saying it's the top time, it's the best of the weekend. That means it's provisional pole, and depending on what happens next, I reckon they're only going to get 1 flying lap in.
I think you're right. Yeah, 4 minutes and 58 of the session remains.
So Tictum coming back to the team, back to the pit lane. It's going to be a really interesting grid, this.
It really is.
Ugo Ugachukwu was 19th yesterday, 2 minutes 8. Today, 2 minutes 6. So he's found 2 seconds. I know he's found the wall, but he's found 2 seconds, and that is the big, big positive. That's a really good step forward.
That was so impressive by Luke Browning. Let's just go back to that. The fastest Formula 3 time of this weekend, a 2:05.4, a 10th quicker than Gabriele Mini went yesterday at the end of qualifying. But Luke Browning did that for the first time of asking when the session got back underway. Here we go, about to see exactly what happened at Donna Maria. Car just straight on.
Didn't hit anything.
Didn't hit anything.
But there, look, damage on the right front, even before Ugachukwu gets the damage on the left. So I think he glanced the wall on the inside that fired him wide and bounced him into the barriers. So that's really the reason for the stoppage there. Well, we said it was going to be dramatic. We tell no lies.
Oh, drama aplenty is guaranteed at Macau. year after year. And the drivers come back for it because the spoils of victory over the course of this weekend is like no other.
Yeah, sure. You can't test. It's one event a year, pressure on, and a tremendous circuit, absolutely no question. So the battered Trident car of Ugo Chukwu needs to be retrieved, and I think it's going to be taken off the road to the escape road at Moorish, and then we can get things back underway with just under 5 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, 4 minutes and 58 to be precise. The marshals working so quickly to get the track cleared. They know just how important this is. Luke Browning, top time, 2:05.435. Gabriel Mini, 2:05.441. 6 thousandths of a second difference between Mini and Browning. Boganovic, Dino Boganovic in third, 2:05.518. Isaac Hadjar in fourth, Marcus Armstrong. Unfortunately, one of the causes of the red flag, the car stricken down on the run through Donna Maria. Marcus Armstrong in fifth place, Alex Dunn in sixth place, Oliver Goethe in seventh place, Ugo Chukwu being recovered. It was on a good lap down there in eighth place, Barry Boyer in ninth place, and Marty completes the top 10. Former winner, Richard Verschure, only good enough for 11th place at the moment, and Dan Ticktum, a double winner here at Macau, down in 12th. So once again, concentration to be focused on the restarts over 4 minutes 58. Once we get the circuit clear, short barriers and circuit furniture is all okay to get things back underway. Just Ugo's car requiring the final few stages of recovery.
And of course, all the cars returned to the team. They can't wait in the fast lane. They've got to go back to that 45-degree parking formation and be released from there. So they can't queue on the fast lane, which would gain track position, but you can't do it.
That's Luke Browning, car number 11. And so often you see drivers, when they're waiting to go back on the circuit, absolutely totally focused, they're visualising. But Luke Browning even afforded a bit of a wave for the camera earlier on before this session got underway. That's maybe showing that he was pretty relaxed going into this, following a couple of moments this morning in pre-practice.
It's Paul Aaron. See Pete Aaron on the car. Older people might think Pete Aaron from the Frankenheimer Grand Prix movie, but it's definitely Paul Aaron, the Estonian. His brother Ralph, who's come back to racing in Fanatec GT in the last few years, is here as well as his driver coach. He raced here himself.
Paul went quickest this morning in free practice right at the end, didn't he?
He went less slowly than the others.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Yes, because there were so few laps.
You're right.
It flattered to deceive.
Yes.
But you're right, he was at the top of the time.
That's bragging rights.
Sir.
That's bragging rights.
Yeah, true. So the grid is going to be a really intriguing one. It's going to shuffle again, yeah. And in this session, 11th and 12th are Verschure and Ticktum, our two previous Macau winners. That's Alex Dunn, who is new to the circuit, new to the car, and has done a very impressive job.
He's been great, absolutely great. Yesterday shined in the second half of qualifying at the end of yesterday afternoon, and is relaxed enough to give a little wave to the camera, which is nice to see. That's the car of Charlie Wirtz. That colour scheme up close is absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
The car run by the Yenser Motorsport team. They got fined for a fueling infringement yesterday. Not the drivers, but the team, for not having the appropriate clothing for refueling. Very colourful crash helmet from Charlie, son of Alex Wirtz. Teammates Max Esterson and the Peruvian driver, Matthias Zagazeta. Right, so track clear of car. Now just a bit of liquid to be soaked up. The other reason to return to the team, of course, is so you've got the blowers to keep the car cool and keep you cool.
Yeah, it's warm out there. People in grandstands all using umbrellas. A week ago, they would have been using them for a bit of rain that we had over the course of the weekend. But today, it's to shield them from the sunshine, which is pretty fierce out there because it's a clear sky, no cloud cover. Number 7, that's the car of Matthias Zagazeta. He competed in British Formula 4 as well, and did so to good effect. finds himself here at Macau now, and that's the 25 car, a double winner, Dan Tipton.
Just going to say, Zagazzetta, another newcomer to these cars. So, again, steep learning curve, because he's been doing the Formula Regional Championship this year.
Dan Tipton playing with the camera as well. A wide-eyed look to the camera for the audience around the world. And to be a little bit confident and a bit playful when you've won it twice.
That is Jose Maria Marti Sobrapera, or Pepe Marti for short. And he was 5th in the FIA Formula 3 Championship this year, 3 times a winner. And one of those wins came at Monaco, street circuit.
Street circuit. So we now get instruction that in less than 1 minute we'll get this session back underway. And it's not for long, it's just under 5 minutes we'll have for the resumption of qualifying. And it will be in 30 seconds time at 4:11 here local time. So engines firing up. That's Sebastian Montoya down in pit lane. And his first time, his first visit. His eyes do look like his father's now. Goodness me.
So the green flag is within 10 seconds of being shown, and the clock has just under 5 minutes, 4 minutes and 58 on the timing screen. So we go, we're back live, the session is up and running. Down the pit lane they go then, and Luke Browning heads out. Marcus Armstrong does not go, maybe that car needing a little bit of attention. But there's a whole queue as the field is released. There is Dan Tipton. Teammate Zane Maloney we've not really touched on. He damaged the car yesterday, but Zane Maloney is 15th within Q2.
It's a shame for Marcus Armstrong, isn't it? Got down to 5th with the improvements for Browning, Meany, Kanovic and Hadjar.
It might be they just want another minute or two to confirm that it was Marcus that made it run wide, not something within the car, like a sticky throttle or a gammy downshift.
Yeah. It did look weird. It did look weird. It's not normally a place we get cars going off, is it?
No, indeed. No. Although, oddly, we've had a couple today.
And one yesterday as well.
Yes,
yeah. Just
but apart from that,
no one ever goes off.
Nobody ever goes off there.
Yeah, okay. I'll rewrite the script.
Close the door on your way out.
Yes, I will. And turn the lights out. You
so,
do it in darkness.
We're down to 4 minutes. It's going to be effectively 1 lap, and if you were first out, you might snaffle 2 from the available time. This is going to be an absolute shootout.
It is on board with Dan Tipton once again going through the process of speeding up through the slow section, the hilly section of the course, getting as much heat into the tyres, back into the tyres as they possibly can. Working the wheel of the car, slippery surface down to turn 15, which is the run up Faraway Hill towards Police. So, being that information being filtered out to the teams from race control to in turn tell the drivers careful at the run up Faraway Hill to Police. Luke Browning is quickest, 2:05.4 from Gabriel Mini, 2:05.441, just 6 thousandths of a second. Split provisionally the front row of the grid for the qualification race for tomorrow for the Macau Grand Prix, the 70th Macau Grand Prix. They will race 10 to 4 tomorrow afternoon over 10 laps, 15 laps for the Grand Prix.
So coming out of Moorish towards Donna Maria, 2.5 minutes on the clock, and with the best lap time being a 2 minutes 5, some are genuinely only get 1 lap. Others might, if they are lucky, get 2. So they've got 15 seconds effectively to get back to the start line. The MP Motorsport drivers that pit out are going to be the beneficiaries. Except that 2 minutes 10 on the clock, 2 minutes 7. Over the line with 2 minutes and 4 goes the first car, which was Murray Boyer. So yeah, it is 1 lap. This is it. Every car across the line at the end of this lap will do a time that's going to matter, either because it's an improvement or they've missed out on the chance to improve the grid position.
This is the only chance that they're going to get to shuffle up the grid order for the qualification race here tomorrow, Saturday at Macau for the 70th Macau Grand Prix. They are under pressure. Look at that big lock-up for the 28 car of Mary Bower going into the right-hander at Liz Bower up San Francisco Hill. Those tyres now are not going to be round.
So big push from everybody as you see the MP cars of Hauger and Boyer. At the moment it is Luke Browning then on provisional pole position. What a story that would be for the British driver as you look there at the Williams Junior. So Luke Browning, he's not improving in the sector, so this is a consolidation lap. Alex Dunn has done a personal best sector 2. Dan Tipton has done a personal best in sector 2. The other element of all of this is because it's one shot, traffic management. If you've got it wrong on the previous lap and there are cars too close ahead that you're going to catch, then you're stuffed. But Alex Dunn here looking good.
Barry Boyer has gone overall best in sector 3 for Luke Browning, overall best in sector 2 for Gabriele Mini. And now there were only 6,000ths of a second between these two, and now this is the battle, isn't it?
So Browning and Mini for pole here. And let's see if Alex Dunn can improve his time. And a big off there, big damage, red flag, session's done. 26 seconds on the clock, red flag. We'll identify the car in a moment, but we've got a grid. It's going to be Luke Browning on provisional pole position because the session won't be resumed with 28 seconds to go, I can't believe. And that has been a massive hit coming out of Moorish, again, that has claimed so many victims in this session.
This year, every year, Moorish corner, coming out of that corner, it is so tricky, and that is a very badly damaged Formula 3 car.
So, red flag again in this second qualifying period for the Macau Grand Prix. And not only is it a very badly damaged car, it is absolutely slap bang in the middle of the road on the climb up towards Donna Maria.
I have no clue what car that is. You've only got a view of the rear of the car. The suspension at the back and the front is broken, and the driver was indicating from within the car to the marshals what he wanted to happen with the car. Ideally, the car needs to be lifted and recovered, and the red flag instantly comes out. The hazard really is car number 12, Isaac Hadjar.
So he'd already had one spin there, and so the Red Bull car has had a big impact. And you can see the rear of it, or the lack of the rear of it. Wing has gone, suspension broken, and Isaac Hadjar now will be attended to by the medical crew, who, with the cars having gone by, are able to sprint up the hill towards him. And I would imagine that with the impact, he's going to be a bit shaken, to say the least, and a bit winded.
I would say so, yeah. We could
wow.
only identify the car from the back of the car, and the rear wing of the car completely removed.
A very happy Luke Browning then is your pole position driver. 2 minutes 5.435. How about that for a Macau debut then?
Can't get out the car quick enough.
Well done, Luke Browning. He's part of the British Racing Drivers Club's Superstars programme to look after young British talent. And how about that for young British talent? He's on pole at Macau on his debut. Session will not resume.
Out of the car he gets, so celebrations are just and true down in the pit lane. Number 1, says Luke Browning to the viewers around the world. And Luke Browning is certainly a very impressive young driver. All cars immediately into Parc Fermé conditions down in pit lane, but he's, he knows what this means to go quickest. It wasn't going to be a battle, wasn't it, between himself and Mini on that one final lap around the gear circuit here at Macau. The giant, look at the smile. There we go. Off comes the balaclava. The team are there to congratulate. Lovely scenes down here. And there will be a press conference after this. And it may be that all of the press conferences from the day will appear at this broadcast at the end of qualifying for the Motorcycle Grand Prix, because we haven't had a chance to squeeze them in over the course of today.
So this is the order at Q2 then. Luke Browning tops the times overall, but if you take the session in isolation, was 6,000ths quicker than Gabriele Mini, and then Dino Boganovic was third from the session stopping Isaac Hadjar, and Marcus Armstrong in fifth. Sixth was Alex Dunn from Oliver Goethe, the session stopping Ugo Ugachukwu, Mari Boyer and Pepe Marti. Then Richard Verschoor ahead of Dan Ticktum, ahead of Paul Aram. Next came Dennis Hauger a long way back, Zane Maloney from Sophia Flörsch, Charlie Wirtz 17th from Robin Stanek, Noah Leon and Max Esterson. The order completed by 21st, Lawrence Van Hoopen, then Sebastian Montoya, Christian Mansell, Matthias Zagazeta, Tommy Smith and Nikola Solov, who was another red flagger earlier on, rounding out the 26. So take those times and combine them with what we had of yesterday, and we'll try and combine a grid. Now, we need to find out what happened to Isaac Hadjar, and this is going to be the answer. He's already lost it. He's already hit the wall very, very hard as the car comes to an end. But that having already had the accident coming out of Moorish. So there you go for the provisional grid. Luke Browning for pole position, ahead of Gabriele Mini and Dino Beganovic third. Isaac Hadjar fourth, Marcus Armstrong fifth, Alex Dunn sixth, Oliver Goethe seventh. Dennis Hauger eighth on yesterday's time, ahead of Uga Chukwu, one of the big winners from today, and Murray Boyer 10th. Oh, it's going to be a good run to the first corner, this, isn't it? What about 11th on the grid then? We'll have a look at the next third of it in a moment. Pepe Marti will go 11th, ahead of Richard Verschoor. Dan Ticktum 13th, he's got work to do. Paul Ara next from Nicola Solov and Zane Maloney. Sophia Flörsch 17th from Charlie Wirtz, Noah Leon and Roman Stanek 20th. This is taking yesterday and today and taking the driver's best time from the two. 21st is going to be Max Esterson from Lawrence Van Huppen, Sebastian Montoya 23rd, then Christian Mansell, Matthias Zagazeta and Tommy Smith round out the order. So the qualifying race will start with the grid for tomorrow's race based on the better time out of either Q1 or Q2. You take your better time, that puts the qualifying race grid together. The results of the qualifying race, which is the shorter of the races at 10 laps, will determine the start grid for the Grand Prix itself on Sunday. And if that hasn't whetted your appetite for the quali race, I don't know what will, because that's a brilliant grid. Looking over the reservoir at the back of our commentary position at more of the Skyrise at Macau. So Luke Browning will start the qualifying race on pole position for the Macau Grand Prix, and that qualifying race will be underway tomorrow at 10 minutes to 4. There's still track action at Macau today with the Motorcycle Grand Prix second qualifying session coming up after we've seen the highlights of Q2.